Equilibrium occurs when demand is equal to supply. It is when it is a position where demand curve intersects the supply curve. As shown in the diagram, point E, it determines the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity of a good or service where both producers and consumers are satisfied selling and buying respectively Q units, capital Q units at P price. It is also known as market clearing price. So whenever there is demand and supply both, we just write demand is downward sloping. As we know, supply is upward sloping. And this is your equilibrium price, capital P and Q. In some books, you'll find PE. You can even write that way, PE and QE. Okay. And this is your E, capital E is your equilibrium point. So this is your proper labeled diagram for market equilibrium. You will not miss anything out of this. Another thing I want to share with you, look here, both of you. Yeah, so sometimes children write D here or S here. Okay, it's a wrong way. So either you write DD both side or SS both side, but at least it has to be where the curve ends. So if demand ends down, D has to be written there. Supply ends up, S has to be written there. Okay. So keep that in mind. Or you can write on both sides, that's fine. But don't write just D on the top and not at the bottom. Now, this is also known as market clearing price. So basically the market clears. Whatever is being produced is being sold here. So P is the price which automatically get adjusted in a market economy when we do market command and mixed economy. Now, what happens if the price goes up? Can you tell me? Suppose the price of a product gets set at P1 before it comes to P. It's at P1. It's a little higher than what it should be in the market. So can you tell me what will happen? Any one of you?
Underproduction.
Underproduction तो बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. High price है तो supply तो high होगा. You will be happy. Overproduction होगा ना? Isn't it? So look at the graph here. If you see, this graph is touching demand here. Let me use some other color. Okay, it's touching demand here and touching supply here. Which one is greater? If you take it to x-axis, demand or supply?
Supply.
Supply is greater, right? So at this point, at this price, supply is greater than demand. What is this called? Excess supply. Or in some books, you will also find it written as surplus. So it's a surplus in the market now, where your supply is greater than demand because at a higher price, demand is low and at a higher price, supply is high, right? That's what we studied in the last class. So now this gives a signal in the market. What is the signal here? It is giving a signal to the producer that there is a lot of stock lying down with the retailers, with the wholesalers in their warehouse of the stocks. Now, what does the producer has to do? He cannot produce further more goods because already there's a lot of stock and people are not buying. What will you do then? If you're a producer, what will you do?
I will reduce the supply.
Reduce the supply, so you will not produce more, right? But right now there is already a surplus. How will you get rid of that? You need to sell those stocks, right? Otherwise, some of your stocks might have an expiry date. What, Khushi?
Reduce the price.
Absolutely. So this is giving a signal to you as a producer that there's already a surplus stock. Supply is very high as per the demand, as compared to the demand. So you need to reduce the price in order to get rid of the stock. And slowly what will happen is the price will start coming down. There will come a point where when you start reducing the price, stocks getting sold will match the demand that is there. People have the ability to buy those many units. So it settles down at a point where your demand curve intersects the supply curve and the stocks get cleared. That's why you see discount sales happening. Yeah, 20% off, 10% off. It's like, when the season gets over, they just want to sell the stock. They don't want to keep it lying. So they sell it at a lower price. Now let's look at the other part of it. What if the price is below equilibrium at this point, P2? So what is the situation here? Now you know.
The demand is more than the supply, so there's underproduction.
Huh. So what do we call this is shortage. So there is a excess demand or called shortage. Now what is the signal?
You need to increase the price.
Yeah. So now the thing is, since it's demand, it gives a signal to the consumers that suppose there are 200 iPhones, new models which have come, but the demand is for 500 iPhones, yeah, in your area. So you will go to the retailer and you'll say, okay, if it's for 70,000, I'm ready to pay 75,000. You give it to me. So your retailer will say, I already have 10 people in the waiting list and I'll just be getting 4 iPhones. So then Rihanna will say, I'll pay you 80,000. Yeah, you please keep it for me. I'm your old customer and all. So this is how the price will go up because the demand is high and supply is less. So there is a shortage. So it gives a signal to the consumer that they have to raise the price in order to get the product. So again, it reaches back to a position where your demand will be equal to supply. Is this part clear?
Yeah.
Did you understand?
Yeah.
We can say that equilibrium occurs where your demand is equal to supply, and this we can see in the above diagram at the price P. And disequilibrium, you get a 4 marks question on this difference between equilibrium and disequilibrium. A disequilibrium occurs where demand is not equal to supply, which is at the price P1 and P2. So a disequilibrium means either there is a surplus or there is a shortage. So write the topic. We'll do the changes in demand and supply. So let's do effect of taxes. So again, make a demand supply curve. That's your equilibrium. That's your price and Q, right? So this anyways you have to make in all your diagram. Now what happens when the examiner asking you taxes? In this case, later you will study that there is a direct tax and there is an indirect tax. Okay, direct tax affects your income, your demand. It's an income tax. And indirect tax affect your it's a like GST. Are you aware? GST, VAT, sales tax. So all these are indirect taxes. It is on the product. So whenever the product is produced or a service is given, it has to be imposed and it has to be given to the government. So who will it affect, producer or consumer first? Who will it affect first? If the government is putting tax on production, who will it affect first?
The first affect the producer.
First, it will affect the producer, and then it's the later thing that the producer might charge high price and take it from consumer, some part of it, right? Things become expensive then because of taxes. So when it affects the producer, that means it will affect the supply curve here, correct? So it will affect the producer. That means there will be a change in the supply curve, not the demand curve. Okay, some students make a mistake here that since it's a tax, things will become expensive, so the demand reduces. No, every time any kind of situation given to you, you will see the first effect of it. And then, of course, it keeps changing later. Is that clear? So it will affect your supply. Will the supply increase or decrease? Is it a good thing for the producer? Will it help the producer to increase his supply or reduce his supply?
Use because he has to pay more.
Yeah, it will increase his cost of production. Yeah, it will be a burden, extra burden on him. So it will reduce the supply. We know that the reduction in supply we show by a leftward shift. So this will be the new supply curve. Let's label this at S1. And now there is a new equilibrium here, which is E1. Okay, and you bring it down. It's a Q1, P1, right? So what does it indicate? What does it tell you now? So we will say the effect of taxes on the market. What does it do? Okay. So effect of taxes, this basically reduce the supply to S1. Reduced with taxes, it reduces the supply to S1, makes a new equilibrium at E1. The price of the product rises in the market to P1, and the quantity of the product reduces to Q1. This is the whole impact of the effect of taxes on any product in the market. So it comes for 4 marks. You will have to make this diagram and you will have to explain what I have just written with arrows. Okay, so listen to my explanation. You will say when the government is imposing taxes on, say, cigarettes, suppose that's there in the case study. So you will say the supply, so this will increase the cost of production, which will shift the supply curve from S to S1, making a new equilibrium at E1, and hence the price of the product, in this case cigarettes, will increase from P to P1 and the quantity traded will fall from Q to Q1. Let's similarly do the effect of subsidies. That's another favorite question of the examiner. Effect of subsidies on the market. So again, you will just first step, you will make your demand and supply curves, equilibrium, price and quantity. Now, what is the effect of subsidy? What is a subsidy? Can you tell me?
Money provided by the government to producers.
Good. So it is the financial grant or money which is provided by the government to the producers to encourage them to supply more. Since it's given to the producers, it will affect the supply curve. So supply in this case will shift to the right, making a new equilibrium at E1, and hence the price of the product falls from P to P1 and the quantity traded increases from Q to Q1. This will be the effect of subsidy. So what happens here? In case of subsidy, your supply is increasing to S1, making a new equilibrium at E1. Price is falling from P to P1 and quantity is increasing from Q to Q1. This is the result of subsidy in the market. So now, when you make this diagram and explain it, listen to the exact words you will write. A subsidy is a grant given by the government to the producer to encourage him to supply more. It reduces his cost of production. It will shift the supply curve from S to S1, making a new equilibrium at E1, which will reduce the price of the product from P to P1 and increase the quantity traded from Q to Q1, 4 on 4, or if it's 6 marks, 6 on 6. Yeah. If you found this video helpful, do drop a like and share it with your friends. If you want to see more such videos, subscribe to this channel and let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Hope to see you in the next episode of Dimplenomics. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. All the best. God bless.